Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video, I'm going to make something that sounds crazy, but tastes crazy delicious. Pickled lettuce. From time to time, I will hear about a particular food or ingredient that I just find so intriguing, I have to make it. And that was the case with pickled lettuce. As I looked through my cookbooks and on the internet for recipes that I could keto-fy, I kind of settled on two. One is more of a savory brine, and I saw that out on, what was that? I think Epicurious. The other is more of a sweet, sour, tangy dill, and that I saw on Food 52. I've taken the liberty of tweaking each of the recipes to make them lower in carbs. If you're not keto, if you don't care about carbs, instead of using allulose, which is what I'm using as the sweetener, you could just use the same amount of sugar. I think that's it for the preamble. Let's make a couple varieties of pickled lettuce. For our savory brine, we'll start with 1 cup or 240 ml of water. To this we will add 1/2 cup or 120 ml of red wine vinegar. Then we have 1 tablespoon of allulose or the sweetener of your choice, 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds, and 1 tablespoon of whole oregano, not crushed or powdered. Then we'll add 1 teaspoon or 2 cloves of minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and finally 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Turn on the heat, whisk together, and we will whisk periodically until we reach a full boil. At which point we will take it off the heat and let it cool to room temperature. That should take, I don't know, about a half an hour or so. I like to strain the brine through a fine mesh sieve to catch all those spices. Otherwise, it just is a little bit too spice heavy. Now you can always keep these and add them back to taste later if you feel that the brine doesn't have enough punch. For your lettuce, you can use either iceberg or romaine. I decided I would use iceberg in this instance. This is 1 6-inch head of lettuce. That would be 15 centimeters. We're going to put it 1 leaf at a time into a large bowl and then drizzle a little bit of our brine over it. Once I get past some of the bigger leaves, I just throw them in chunks. I still want to make sure that I'm pouring the brine over them every so often, just to make sure I've got a pretty good distribution. Once you've added all the lettuce to the bowl, pour over any remaining brine. Next, we want to weight this down with something heavy. I've got a plate here which isn't quite heavy enough, so I'm going to fill my 2-cup measuring cup with water and use that for some additional weight. Then we're going to let this set aside for 2 hours, but every half hour we're going to come in and rearrange our lettuce. For our sweet and sour dill brine, once again we will use 1 cup or 240 ml of water. This time though, apple cider vinegar, 1/2 cup, 120 ml. 1 teaspoon or 2 cloves of minced garlic, and again 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. We're going to make this brine a little bit sweeter, so this time 2 tablespoons of allulose or the sweetener of your choice. Then we'll add a 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and finally 1/4 cup or 10 grams of dried unsweetened cranberries. Turn on the heat, whisk together, and continue to whisk periodically until you are at a full boil. Then we'll turn off the heat and once again let this sit until it comes down to room temperature, about 30 minutes. For this recipe we're going to use some romaine, 1 head, and what I'll typically do on some of the bigger outside leaves is I'll remove these thick stems or spines. Once I start getting into some of these smaller leaves where the spines aren't that big, I don't worry about it anymore. I'll just continue to separate my leaves, put them on the pile, and then cut into 3/4 inch or about 2 centimeter pieces. We'll put these into a large bowl, and then prepare some dill. We want about 1/2 cup of lightly packed dill, or 10 grams, which we will then coarsely chop. We'll add this into our lettuce and lightly toss it by hand. Then we'll pour on our brine, weight it down with something heavy, like a bowl or a plate. If you need extra weight, again, I'm using the 2 cups of water. Press this down and set this aside. Every half hour, I'll remove the plate or whatever I'm using to weight down my lettuce and give it a little bit of a tossing, rearranging by hand. I want to make sure that the brine is coating every leaf and that they're all equally pickled. We'll put our plate back and our weight and move on to the other bowl. Weighting that one down as well. After 2 hours, I'll remove my iceberg lettuce from the brine. Since iceberg is sort of a weaker, less sturdy lettuce, I don't want it hanging out in the brine any longer and getting more wilty. As for the romaine, I'm going to transfer all of that into a pint jar, packing it down so that it all fits. And then I'll pour the remaining brine over the top. Screw on the cap, and then we'll put this into the fridge where it'll keep for a week. Our iceberg lettuce, on the other hand, we want to use within a couple of days because it's already pretty wilty. So I'm going to transfer that to a Ziploc bag. I am, however, going to save this brine. This could be used for another batch of lettuce or to brine some meat. I'm thinking some chicken thighs brined in this would be pretty awesome. This brine should keep for several weeks in the fridge due to the acidity from the vinegar. So I've got my wife, Terry, here.
Hi.
So
Hi.
she's going to help us with a little taste testing. I let Connor taste these yesterday. Both of these he put on some chicken sandwiches from Culver's.
Okay.
And loved them so much that he was eating it again for breakfast. So I'm going to let you try each one of them. Let me know what you think and how you think they would best be served. Like what kind of a sandwich or whatever they would go on.
All right.
You ready?
Sounds good.
Now it looks an awful lot like, you know, when you get tacos or something from Taco Bell and then you refrigerate them and then you microwave it and the lettuce is all wilty and stuff. That's how it looks, but don't let the looks fool you. Or you're concerned I'm going to drip on the floor, aren't you?
Well, on me more. We'll
Okay.
see.
So here you go.
Okay. I love pickles and very good. Yeah, don't like pickles. Pickled lettuce. It's really good.
Okay, so this one is really more the savory one. It doesn't have any dill in it. What can you imagine this going on?
I like a lunch meat sandwich.
Like a deli?
Like a pastrami or a corned beef or a roast beef like those Hillshire Farm.
Yeah, so I
With
actually,
some yellow mustard.
I made this on one of those egg life wrappers with a little provolone and some pastrami and some mayo, and it was almost like instant muffaletta. That is such a good combination. You know, though, I think I might actually add back in a little bit more of that fennel and garlic, just mix it back in with the lettuce. I do think a sandwich like this could stand up to those extra spices. So now here's our second one.
Okay, this one looks a little different. It's got
Yes, this is romaine.
okay.
It's also got some unsweetened cranberries, like dried cranberries in it. So this is sort of a
Fancier.
maybe, but it's sort of a sweet, sour, dill, garlic. It kind of brings a lot of different flavors.
Okay.
So
Where that's crisper with the different lettuce. How does it's more heavy, like a darker meat, like a hamburger maybe, or hot dog. Again, like even a steak burger, like those steakum sandwiches, those little frozen.
yeah, I think anything that you would put a dill pickle on,
Yeah.
this would replace the dill pickle.
And you don't need extra mustard with that one. It's more tangy.
Yeah,
So
it
with
does.
the cramp, yeah.
It does have both that sweet
Yeah,
and sour
sour.
in it. So I think just a
good
burger,
stuff.
yeah, a burger with like some mayo and this, and
Yeah.
I think you're
Supper
good to
tonight,
go.
I think, huh? Yeah, Colton will like
Deal.
that.
We'll make it happen.
All right.
All right, thanks for the taste test.
No problem, dear.
What do we say?
See you next time.
Thanks for watching.